Hi, guys. I'm Kathy McCord. I am a member of DP&M staff. I'm also on the State Rules Committee. I also am somebody who knows the rules really well. And I'm somebody who's been learning about Robert's rules since the middle of the summer. And I've learned a lot, but I'm certainly not an expert, but I keep learning more and more. And I'm here to share with you some of the cool stuff I've learned. Okay, overview of Robert's Rules of Order. Explanation of basic principles and purpose and benefits. Okay, that's what I am going to be talking about now. So the first thing I want to just say to all of you is I am not an expert in Robert's rules. Absolutely not. But I've probably read more of Robert's rules than most of you have in the past 6 months. Been studying it for various things that I've been doing for the party. And, as I was going through it, I was going through it because I was working with the executive team that was doing our code of conduct, which is now known as the it's called the Ethical Conduct Standards and Discipline Protocols Policy Document. So in that process, I started reading a whole lot of Robert's rules. We lost somebody. And as I was doing that particular task, I stumbled across a thing in Roberts that is the procedure for small boards and committees. And it's like, wow. And when I read through, it's like, wow, this is really helpful in terms of trying to run a meeting. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about. But then I'm giving you a little bit of history, some context here. So I recently went to a county party executive meeting in a county a little bit south of me here. And they were having a problem that I understand from my interactions with other county parties is it's a problem that other people have too. And that is figuring out, how do we run the meeting? What are we supposed to be doing? How do we do this? Who does what, who's on first, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I worked with them, and we came up with a nice procedure to go through on the agenda, which really followed Robert's rules. And we had the meeting, and it was so awesome because it was a productive meeting. And I'm going to mute you, sorry. It was a very productive meeting, and this group that had not been able to get anything done for 6 months, all of a sudden they walked away from the meeting and they had been able to make half a dozen decisions, which then allowed them to move forward and do the things they want to do to engage people locally, et cetera, et cetera. So it was very, very good. And so I want to share what I've learned in this process with you guys, with you folks, and hopefully help more county party leadership teams to be able to run smoothly. And I came up with that acronym, but it really makes a lot of sense. And that is, what did I call it? SPED, smooth, productive, effective, and democratic meetings. That's what we really need. And that's what I'm sure almost all of us really want. Smooth, productive, effective, and democratic. So now I'm going to start with my spiel. I've got some notes written up. I'm not going to do a screen share right now, but what I will do is I will make these notes available afterwards. I was madly working on them today, so they may have a little bit of rough edges that I'll want to clean up, but I will share them with you. So I'm going to start with essential question number 1. And that is, what is the purpose of a county Democratic Party? Okay. And I'll tell you what my boss has told me, and then I'm going to add to it some things that I believe, based on my experience in my own county Democratic Party over the past almost 10 years. Okay, so number 1, the purpose of a county Democratic Party is to make sure that good Democrats are elected to local, county, state, and national office. Now, there's a lot of ways to make sure that those good Democrats are elected. And part of the process of making sure they're elected is, well, you probably need some money, so you're going to have fundraisers, but you don't have the fundraisers just for the purpose of we want to raise money. It's like we want to raise money so we can make sure that good Democrats are elected to local, county, state, and national office. That is the bottom line for everything else we do. And so if we're doing things that aren't working toward that end, we have to stop and examine, well, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Okay. Now, so that's really the mantra that I get from my boss. And I have signed on to that. I believe that. That's our, bottom line. That's what we're here for. Now, I'm adding to that, and that is another purpose of the county party, the County Democratic Party, is to engage local Democrats. Give them a place to call home, which is the party, and give them something meaningful to do, especially advancing the purpose of the party. And the purpose of the party, get those Democrats elected. And then a third thing that all feeds into this is to register Democrats, get more Democrats registered, young people, disaffected Gen Z and Gen X and millennials and all those, register them, maybe educate them so they understand why it's important to be registered, and again, help them be engaged. Give them a place to call home, and that's the party. So that's our overriding purpose, to do those things. Okay, now, what I have discovered in my deep browsing through parts of Robert's rules is that county leadership teams, which is your county executive committee, that's essentially a small board, or in some places, Roberts refers to it as an executive board, even though we call ourselves executive committees according to our rules. When I was reading Roberts, it's like, well, yeah, this executive board, that's pretty much what we are. And for that, I'm going to refer you to Robert's Rules of Order 49:3. And like I said, I'm going to give you all this. It's going to have these references in it. So we ask, what are the responsibilities of a DP&M County Executive Committee? To meet on a regular basis and make small d democratic decisions about the day-to-day operations of the county party. Okay, that's the main function. And all those operations are feeding into that purpose of getting the Democrats elected, okay? So then we ask the larger question. What are the responsibilities of a DP&M county party chair regarding the county executive committee? Now, according to our rules, the county party chair has several responsibilities, okay? But regarding the county executive committee, the county party chair's job is to preside over the committee meetings. And the reference for that is Robert's Rules 47:7. So what does it mean to preside over the meetings? I found this nice list of stuff. Now, I have to say, Roberts is kind of formal. I'm trying to translate the formal stuff into more ordinary English, okay? Because we all operate using ordinary English. Okay, so presiding over the committee meeting means open the meeting, which means verify a quorum is present and call the meeting to order. Then announce in proper sequence the business that is in order in accordance with the agenda, okay? Recognize members who are entitled to the floor. Again, we're not being super duper formal in our executive committee meetings, but still the chair recognizes people, okay? And then state and put to a vote all questions that legitimately come before the assembly as motions. Protect the assembly from obviously dilatory motions by refusing to recognize them. Enforce the rules related to debate and the rules relating to order and decorum within the assembly. And, you're a small group. It shouldn't be, that shouldn't be problematic, okay? It's just like ensuring that everybody understands what the expectations are and that everybody is, quote, behaving and nobody's being rude or shouting over other people and things like that. Okay, expedite business in every way compatible with the rights of members. That's important, okay? You can't shove things through by refusing to let people speak, but you also have to, the person who's presiding also has to make sure that the dilatory stuff doesn't happen, okay? And a nice tool for any member of an executive committee is if you guys you've got an agenda, you're talking about something and things start going off the rails, anybody can say, I call for the orders of the day. And what that means is, let's get back on track, folks. Let's get back to our agenda. The presiding officer, who is the chair, will decide all questions of order unless they're not sure. And so then they just put that question to the actual group for a decision. Respond to inquiries of members relating to parliamentary procedure or factual information. Authenticate by signature things and declare the meeting adjourned. Now, I just found a really cool thing in Roberts that I recommend you all read, and that is Roberts Rules 47:14 through 19. And basically it says the person who's presiding over the meeting should know more about Roberts Rules than the other people in the meeting. Okay, so become familiar with these processes. Don't be hidebound, like, oh my God, we have to do it exactly this way, but understand the processes to keep things moving along and moving smoothly and respecting the rights of everybody who's there. Okay, and I need to go study that section more. I just stumbled across it today. It's like, oh, this looks really good. Okay, now, so that's basically the Roberts Rules thing. Now, I want to talk to you about county party organization. Okay, before we go to that, I see, Sarah, you have a question?
14 through what? 47:14 through what?
47:14 through 19. It's really, whoever wrote it had a sense of humor. And when you find something funny in Roberts, that's a good thing because it's pretty dry otherwise.
Okay, got it. I'm writing it down.
County party organization. I think a lot of people don't understand this, and this is really important stuff. We have 3 levels of county party organization. And it is the job of the executive team to make sure that these 3 levels of organization are respected and followed, okay? So first of all, you have your county executive committee, and that is your chair, your ward chairs. If you have supplemental county party rules, they may call for some other people to be members. And something that's a flaw in our state party rules that I have put on the books to be hopefully fixed is that the vice chair should also be a member of the county executive committee, right? They should be a voting member. If you have supplemental county party rules, you can say that, but we should really say that in the state party rules, and we're going to work toward getting that corrected. Okay, the county executive committee, which is in most counties, maybe around a dozen people. Bernalillo is the outlier because they have 74 wards, and every ward chair is supposed to be a member of this committee. That makes a very large committee. But, everybody else has, 10 to 20-ish members of this committee. Okay, the county executive committee makes the day-to-day decisions for running the county party. And remember, those decisions are all ultimately in service of the primary goal, which is to get Democrats elected. And the membership is defined by DP&M rules and by your county party rules, if you have them. Okay, so that's the county executive committee. The county central committee is the governing body of the county party. It's kind of like the legislative body of the county party, okay? The membership is defined by the DPNM rules, and supplemental county party rules can add some members to your CCC. The CCC makes significant or major decisions for the county party. So they approve a county party budget, but that, the executive committee can develop a county party budget, but they need to bring it to the CCC for approval. The CCC approves ward boundaries. Now, the executive committee or a subcommittee of the executive committee can draw ward boundaries, but they have to bring it to the CCC for approval because the CCC makes those big decisions. If you have supplemental county party rules, or if you are developing them, or if you want to modify them, it is the CCC that approves them. Now, you can have another committee that's working on the supplemental county party rules, but in order for them to be adopted, then they have to go to the CCC. The CCC elects the county party chair and vice chair. The CCC elects state central committee members. And if you have county party officers or SCC members who need to be removed, and we'll just say there are definite reasons for why somebody needs to be removed, that is a decision made by the CCC, the County Central Committee. So, it is a large decision-making body that's supposed to represent the will of the Democrats in the county. Okay. And then you have general county party membership meetings. These are typically informative and educational gatherings. They should be more than just a social gathering, okay? They should be more than just, let's all get together and have dinner at the restaurant, right? There should be some kind of information that is passed on to the county party Democrats, education about something, a guest speaker, letting them know what the executive committee is working on, letting them know decisions that the CCC is making, etc. And there should be no significant business decisions or votes or motions that happen at a general county party membership meeting, because that body has not really been empowered to make major decisions. Major decisions go to the CCC. Day-to-day decisions go to the executive committee. Now, if there is, if there's a question about, well, when should we hold the holiday party? Should we hold it on Wednesday or Saturday? Yeah, this group could make that decision, okay? So it's not like they're completely disempowered, but it's not really the role at the county party general membership meetings to be making motions and voting on things and calling the question and all that stuff. It's more to inform people and engage people and educate people. Okay. So now let's get down to some brass tacks. What should happen at a county executive committee meeting? And actually, before I go into that, are there any questions? I don't want to just keep running over everybody. If you have questions, please raise your human hand or your virtual hand, and I'm looking to see if there are any hands up. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands up, so I will go on here. Okay, the question is, what should happen at a county executive committee meeting? First of all, you need to have a quorum, which means you need to have at least 40% of your executive committee membership there. So if your executive committee is 9 or 10 people, as a minimum, you need to have 4 people there. Preferably, you'll have more, okay? If your executive committee is 8 people, 40% would be 3.2, which means you really would have to have 4 people there. But you want to have more. You want people who are on this leadership team to be there and be participating in the process. Okay. Second item, agenda. You need to have an agenda. Okay. Now, Robert's Rules 41.5 is a section called Basic Headings Covering Business Proper, and that gives a suggested order of agenda items. And now I am the chair of one of the standing committees right now. And so I'm following this as to what are the items on the agenda. And it's a pretty clear list of these are the things you should have, and this is pretty much the order they should be in. And you know what? It makes my job a little bit easier. And so I recommend it, following Robert's Rules 41:5. Now, the agenda can be prepared by the secretary, or it can be prepared by the chair, or the chair and the vice chair can get together and work it out, or the chair and the secretary, but it needs to be developed, okay, so that there are items that people want to talk about. And then the agenda is presented by the chair or the secretary. Typically, it would be by the chair, because the chair is the presiding officer. And then the members of the executive committee vote whether to approve the agenda as submitted or as amended. So they may make some changes. They may move some things around. They may add something, and then they vote on it. And then I'll get you just in a second, Carmel. Once the agenda is approved, it now belongs to the members of the committee. It does not belong to the chair. It belongs to the group, and any changes in the agenda or any deviations from the agenda need to be approved by a vote of the group. Okay, Carmel. You're mute. There you go.
Would there be a time frame that you can submit an item to put on that agenda? Can you hear me?
You know, I don't know if Roberts talks about that, but it is really the responsibility of the chair, who is the presiding officer, to reach out to his leadership team or her leadership team and say, okay, I'm putting the agenda together for our next meeting. Please submit your suggestions to me by such and such a date. And then it is the leadership team member's responsibility to submit those items to the chair. But remember, at the meeting itself, when it's time to approve the agenda, a person can say, a member of the leadership team can say, I move that we add XYZ to this agenda. And then, so that's an amendment, right? And so then there's a vote on whether to add that or not. And it's a democratic vote. So majority rules. If you have 8 people there, 5 people vote to add it, then it gets added. Okay. So, you know, the idea is to work with your chair, the presiding officer, and for everybody there to recognize that you are all part of one leadership team. That's really important. Okay, Judy, I see you have your hand up, so go ahead and unmute.
If you have a few more minutes, I think I can answer Carmel's question pretty quickly. Can you
Sure.
not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
When you're looking at the agenda, there's really a reason why things need to come in a certain order. And as Kathy just said, the first order should be approval of the agenda. After there's some kind of figuring out if there's a quorum or not, whether it be by roll call or however you do it, but just make sure you have a quorum first. Then, like you say, you approve the agenda. The next thing that's really important, I think, is the minutes from the previous meeting.
Yeah,
they
haven't
need
got
to
that
come
far yet.
very early. Oh, okay. So if you want me to stop, I will.
Well, I was just talking about the agenda right now.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And do you mind or do you want to go?
Okay, I was going to talk about minutes next, but if you want to talk about them, go ahead.
No, I want to talk about the agenda. Is what
Okay.
I'm talking about. The minutes need to come very early in the agenda, primarily because we need to recall what happened at the last meeting. If we need to be discussing something that wasn't finished And of course, the other reason is to kind of put those minutes in concrete by approving them. Because very often people say, well, I didn't approve that, or we didn't talk about it, or whatever. And it's really important to have that documented. So the next thing would be old business and committee reports, because those are things you've discussed before or ahead of time. Committee reports would be also from the executive committee. And then your old business. And basically, that's the order. I'm sorry, Kathy, if I interrupted you.
Well, that is covered in that Robert's 41.5. It gives that order. I wasn't going to go into that level of detail, but yeah, you're right. Roberts recommends a specific order of doing things, and Roberts explains what old business versus unfinished business, really. It's not old business, it's unfinished business, and then it's general orders or special orders, and then there's new business, which is not what we think it is, but I'm not going into that level of detail right now. So anyway, I'm gonna expand on what Judy said about the minutes, because that's what's next in my little notes here. So according to Roberts, and you look at 48.2 through 48.4, first thing they say is the minutes should contain mainly a record of what was done at the meeting, not what was said by the members. I mean, some of us have read minutes, and I'm guilty of writing minutes like this once upon a time, that are 17 pages of what everybody said. No, it's a record of what meeting was it, who was present, was there a quorum, a record of the decisions made. So the various motions that were made, and if there were amendments to the motions or whatever, and if they passed or failed or whatever, just a record of the decisions. And then there's more in Roberts. It's 41.9 through 41.12 gives more guidance about the minutes. But, you know, as Judy said, it's right. You want to be able, the minutes to be something that you can go back and look at and go, what did we do? What did we talk about? What did we decide? And there it all is. And it's not 18 pages. You know, you try to make it a reasonable number of pages, 1, 2, 3 pages. Just what, you know, what meeting was it? Who was there? And what decisions were made? Now, Roberts gives a little thing that's like, sort of a narrative about the minutes, but that seems to me, and I need to go back and read it more thoroughly, seems to me like that was kind of an also. You could also do it this way, but basically you just have to have these main things. Okay. Now I'm going to move into the next part, which is what's happening at your executive committee meeting is democratic procedures. Motions are made, discussions ensue. When the discussion is over, the people vote, and it's a small d democratic body. That means every voting member is equal, and all votes are equal. You need a majority vote for all questions. Now, there may be an occasional question that requires more than majority, but you always need a majority vote. And then the chair presides. That is, the chair keeps the meeting running smoothly. But guess what? The chair does not have veto power. The chair does not get to say, you know what, we're not going to talk about that. Let's move on. It's a democratic body. You're going to do things democratically. And that's what we want to do, right? We're the Democratic Party. We want to model democratic procedures. So if occasionally there may be a chair here or there who wants to behave in a more autocratic fashion and have veto power, they don't have that. It's a democratic body, and the agenda, once it was approved by that body, belongs to the body. The chair doesn't get to say, we're not going to discuss XYZ. Now, the chair could ask for a motion to take a certain item off the agenda, but the chair cannot make unilateral decisions about we're not going to do this or we're going to do this instead, even though it's not on the agenda. It all has to be approved democratically by the body who owns the agenda. And that is something that not a lot of people understand. But I want all of you to understand your power as members, as equal members of this democratic group. You own the process, and Robert's Rules provides some nice guidelines for how to step through that process in a fair and equitable fashion. Okay. Now, before I move on to the next section, are there questions about this so far? And Judy, I want to really thank you. I know you have years and years of experience, and I don't. And so I respect your experience and thank you for your input. Okay, I'm looking for hands up. Okay, Carmel, I see you. I'm looking to see if anybody else has a hand up. I don't see any other hands up. So go ahead, Is it Carmel or Carmel?
It's Carmel.
Carmel, okay.
It's Carmel. So in reality, do most county chairs give all their members, the executive committee, enough time to enter or submit something to that agenda? And also,
I don't know. I don't know, but you know, our strong recommendation is that they do that. And if they don't, you still have the option when the agenda is put forward for approval to say, by the way, I didn't have a chance to get this thing added to the agenda. I move that we add item XXX to the agenda. That has to be voted on by the entire leadership team who's present. And if a majority of the people there vote to add it, it's added. Okay, there are, again, no unilateral decisions on the part of the presiding officer, no vetoes by the presiding officer. If the Democratic body says, we want to talk about this, and they vote for it, and it's a majority vote, then you all will be talking about that. Okay, it's your agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Sarah, go ahead and unmute yourself.
So I would just offer this as a county chair without a body, that I would love for a body to come and tell me what they want. And I hate being the person that's always directing and asking and then eventually poking and saying, let's do this and prodding. And I would love for more bodies to come and say, hey, we want to do this and we want to do that. And I want more committees and more this. I don't have to own anything. I would love for more people to be involved and to take ownership of events or things. And so, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yay.
So your leadership team, which is your, I don't know what.
My executive committee.
Your executive committee
sorry.
is your leadership team, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I don't remember if you have, I think you have county party rules. I don't remember what your county party rules say about the executive committee, but county party rules can always be modified, right?
Right. And
So
we try to work within the rules. We really do. But I'm just saying that from this the standpoint of hold on a second. It's from the standpoint of I'm just saying that it's just a small group of us, and we would love more civic engagement from more participants. And we are getting that slowly. But
Right.
I'm just saying, Carmel, that it would be great to have more people say, we want to vote on this and we want to engage in this manner. And I'd be like, yeah. Hey, how much money you want? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Yeah, okay. I mean about the money, but yeah.
But remember, it's your executive committee is a defined body, and hopefully as your leadership team, they are working with you to develop the agenda. And when the agenda is presented to them at the beginning of the meeting, it's like, do y'all want to change anything on this agenda? And that, you know, if they haven't submitted ideas before then, there's still an opportunity to do that. And then that agenda is pretty much fixed And then you move through that list of items we're going to deal with today. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to move on to this really nice thing that I discovered in Robert's Rules this summer. And I'm using this as I am presiding over the standing committee that I'm the chair of right now. And it's Robert's Relaxed Rules. It's rules for small
Hold
boards,
on.
small
Here.
boards and committees. Wait,
Oh.
I'm gonna mute you, Sarah. So, and this is a sort of a summary of what's in this. This is 4921. And this is what I'm recommending that county party chairs and committee chairs use to run their meetings, because the real rigid Roberts Rules is really hard to apply to the small group unless you all are really well versed in Roberts, and most of us are not. I'm not, and most other people are not. So Roberts Relaxed Rules 4921. Informal discussion of a subject is permitted if a motion's not pending, so you can just have conversations about something, and then somebody can say, okay, we've talked this thing kind of to death, let's make a motion. Okay, now members are not limited in how many times they can speak in discussion or in debate. That's nice, because with the more rigid Roberts Rules, it's like everybody can only speak, once or twice and that's it. Well, no, we're trying to get things done here, right? But we're trying to do them in an orderly fashion. With the relaxed rules, the chair can participate in discussions and debates. The chair is not so removed as only this totally neutral party. They can participate. When you have a motion, there's no need to second it, because your committee is typically going to be around a dozen-ish people. That's what these rules are made for. It's like you get a dozen, 13 people in a room. Let's not make everything so rigid that everybody has to have on their starched clothing, right? Okay, so no need to second a motion. And then when a proposal is perfectly clear to everybody there, a vote can be taken without a motion. And a vote can be taken initially by a show of hands. Now, if a vote is taken without a motion and it's kind of contentious, then you may want to move on to the slightly more formal, let's make a motion and then let's have our yes votes and our no votes. The whole idea of this process is to get things done, again, in a fair and equitable democratic fashion. The chair is a voting member under the relaxed rules. Now, let's say you have an executive committee of 9 people and a motion is made and it is voted on, and it's voted 6-3, and the chair voted no, but 6 people voted yes. It has passed, even though the chair isn't in favor. The chair does not have veto power. Okay, that's so important to understand. And some people, I think, are going to be a little bit surprised about that. But again, democracy with a little d. Okay, so that's basically what the Roberts Relaxed Rules are. We look at 4921, and I will be sharing my notes with you, and I have actually reproduced 4921 later on. And then I had this big question, well, how does Roberts Rules section 4921 help with smooth running of a county executive committee meeting? And I really only came up with one answer, and that is it provides a guideline of steps to take to walk through the agenda and take care of business, because that's what you want to do. You want to be smooth. You want to be productive. You don't want to be spinning your wheels. You want to be effective. You're actually making decisions. You made a decision that you are going to get a P.O. box. And even if the chair said, no, I don't want to do that, if a majority of the people said, yeah, we want to have a P.O. box, guess what? You're going to have a P.O. box. And you just want to take care of business, because it's your job to make this be a functional group with the main purpose of electing Democrats and doing things in service of that goal. getting good Democrats elected. So really, one answer how 4921 helps, it provides a guideline of steps to take to walk through the agenda and take care of business. And then I just reproduced 4921. And so I'll, when I share this with you, you'll see all that. And I just wanted to say a little word about new business, because this was news to me, okay? Turns out that when you have your agenda and you have your unfinished business, it's like stuff that was left over from last time that we didn't resolve. We'll try and resolve it now. And then you have your, there's special orders, which I'm not totally clear what they are, but then you have your general orders, which is like the new stuff that got put on the agenda for this time that we're going to go through. And maybe it's information only, or maybe it's make a decision. And then new business is really members can introduce new items of business or to take something off the table if it got put on the table. And it might be something that hadn't been talked about before. Hopefully if somebody's going to introduce some new business, they're not going to blindside the presiding officer, but they're going to say, hey, I want us to talk about what we're going to do about that scholarship. And, it didn't get on the agenda for whatever reason. So this is where new things get brought up, and that can be something that's talked about at this meeting. If it's not too super duper complicated, it's something that could be decided at this meeting, or you could say, and let's put this on the agenda under general orders for next month. So new business is not, the stuff we're dealing with this time. It's like, that's your general orders. Okay. The new business is, here's something else. And that's pretty much the end of my discussion. I recommend that every county party leadership team has 1 or 2 copies of Robert's Rules, 12th edition. It's so useful to be able to look things up and figure things out. And keep in mind that you're trying to do things in the relaxed fashion if you can, because the rules for the order in which various motions are subsidiary motions or secondary motions, I don't understand all that stuff. I know that there's a real order of things and it's very, very complicated. But at the level of county executive committee meetings, you should not have to get into that level of, again, I'm going to use the word rigidity. Hopefully you can be more relaxed, people working together with common goal. Eventually we want to get good Democrats elected. What are the things we can do as a leadership team to lead this county party to get that done? And that is the end of my presentation.